So Sam, it is 5 o'clock. Take it away.
Marla, thank you so much. And yeah, we sure are concerned about the business community. You know, for those of you who are new to PIDC, we're a 60-plus-year-old partnership between the City of Philadelphia and the Greater Philadelphia Chamber of Commerce. And we were formed many, many years ago to promote and support the Philadelphia business community, to retain and grow employment in the city. And so we've been focused with the various resources that we have on the real estate side and in financing to try to support the best we can the business community in Philadelphia and the small business community throughout the entire city of Philadelphia, all of its neighborhoods. And we're very proud of our track record. But of course, this current COVID environment is really trying for all of us. And with Marla's assistance, Marla's done, I think, a brilliant job of putting on a series of webinars that have intended to connect you with various financial resources that are available through this environment, as well as other services and resources, technical assistance, or we've had some webinars around behavioral and mental health, as we know the stresses that you've gone through with all of this, and you know, all the different ways in which small businesses really need support to keep going. This evening, this is the fourth, I believe, webinar that we've had in a row with Constance Anderson, our partner at Lendistry, to specifically link you and inform you and answer your questions around the Small Business Administration's Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP program. As many of you know, and as Constance will lead us through, this is the second round of funding. We're right in the middle of it. And it's, as government programs go, it's actually a relatively straightforward one. However, it is a government program, and so there's a lot of twists and turns. And we're really pleased and lucky, I think, at PIDC to have been the beneficiary of Constance's time and her knowledge and her background with over 20 years of experience in the banking industry, in the small business development industry. Constance is the president of the Center for Strategic Economic Studies and Institutional Development at Lendistry. And with no further ado, I will turn it over to Constance, who has a PowerPoint set of slides that she'll walk you through. And then we also have Marla and my colleagues, Quinn and Jasmine, Ronette, and Stanley are also online here to monitor the chat box and bring your questions forward. So thank you, Marla. Thanks to the team. Constance, thank you very much yet again for being so selfless with your, unselfish with your time. We appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, and hello everyone from California. Thank you to the colleagues of PIDC. And I think what we'll do is jump right into the presentation. What I do want everyone to understand is, yes, we do have an infusion of more money right now from the United States government, but it is imperative that we get everyone, all small businesses on board, get your applications processed to the best of your ability. And I know what I'm hearing here in LA is some people uploaded their applications realizing that they hadn't completed the application in its entirety. That does not bode well for you guys. It actually delays everything. So use the resources that are available to make sure that your application is as close to perfect as possible. I don't know how many other ways I can say that, but it's extremely important. So the SBA Paycheck Protection Program is one that is designed to support employers to support their employees. So basically, it is a loan program that could turn into a grant for small businesses if the funds are used in the manner in which they were designed to be used. Advance, please. So what I'm going to go through first is the documentation that's needed to apply for a corporation. Next slide. This document is on our website. Our website is www.mylendistry.com. What we try to do here is make sure that every entity in a position to apply for the PPP program knew what documents would be needed in order for them to start to put their documentation together so that they can upload. This is a technology-based program, so you will be required to upload all your documents. There's no place to mail anything and so forth. So it all does have to be done via technology. So one of the first things that we're looking for a corporation is 12 months of payroll and taxes that have been paid. A lot of times our small business owners some of you guys are already using a payroll organization or payroll company. In those instances, it's a little bit simpler for you to get the documentation that's needed to confirm your payroll. In those instances where you're not, maybe you're using an at-home accounting software program like a QuickBooks or something similar to it. Keep in mind, we must be able to prove the number of people that are employed by you and what you're paying them. The reason being, we need to verify we need to get to an actual total amount of money that you spend per year for salaries and any other fees that are involved, such as state taxes, health benefits or health payments, retirement, and so forth. Usually you would have a 940 and a 941, which is an IRS document that you provide to the IRS every time you file. Actually, you do this quarterly. I take that back. This is something that you have to provide to the IRS on a quarterly basis. So those documents will also assist you in helping you to apply for the PPP program. You will note that on that document, we mentioned sole proprietors. So for sole proprietors, we're looking for any 1099s and proof of payroll. We're also looking for articles of incorporation and fictitious business name. Includes an S and a C corp. We would be looking at your operating agreement. We'd also be looking at a partnership agreement. And again, the fictitious business name for the sole proprietor. The SBA application, and I have repeated myself often with this note, in that when the program started, we started out with a number of different applications. The most recent application is the SBA Form 2483. The SBA 2483 allows all applicants at the very top, and we're going to go through it, but it allows all the applicants to state what type of entity they are, and that's extremely important as well. We are looking for your 2018 tax returns and your 2019 tax returns where they are available. If you have not filed your 2019 tax returns, we are looking for Schedule C for 2019, of which you can ask your tax preparer, or you can go on to irs.com, request the form, you can complete it yourself, and then you can upload it. We're also looking for your photo ID. You would take a picture of the front of your ID and the back of your ID, and it becomes a part of your application package. Please advance. So this document is for sole proprietors, and we didn't ask in advance how many sole proprietors there were on the line, but we will briefly go through this, and if we're moving a little bit too fast, I am available for questions and via email. Next slide, please. So for sole proprietors, we need a few less documents. We still need to verify any salaries that are being paid. Your 1099 is extremely important in this case because we want to see where you're getting your compensation from. So if you're an independent contractor, sole proprietor, more than likely you have more than one organization in which you work for. You will need those documents, the 1099. And I see we have a couple of questions. If I could finish this page and then we'll go through the questions that are on board already. Your 2020 invoice, your bank statement or book of records, everything that will confirm with us that you had revenue and that you had an employee. This instance also works where you are the only employee. We still need to verify that you're paying yourself and what you're paying yourself over a 12-month period if you've been in business for 12 months. And if you're paying an employee, we need to see the trail of the funding that is being provided to the employee. I realize that not everyone has a payroll company working for them. So these are some suggestions in case you do not. Again, we're looking for the 1040 with Schedule C for 2019. The 941, state quarterly wages for unemployment or something equivalent to it for each quarter, and documentation supporting any retirement that you're paying on behalf of the employee. Let's see. Fictitious name filing if it's applicable, and the SBA loan application. And again, we're looking for photo ID. Keep in mind, all of the documentation that we're looking for is as a result of us being able to verify that the person applying for the loan is also the owner of the business. We have some questions. My computer says that we have 6 questions. Quinn?
We have a couple questions in the chat box. I can read them off to you.
Thank you.
This one is from Tammy, who writes, does sole proprietors also apply to S Corp with only one employee who is owner?
As long as you have an employee, you're eligible to apply for the PPP program.
Okay, and this one's from Kumar. I am a sole proprietor. How do I create proof of payroll records?
Okay, well, there's a couple ways you can do that. One is bank statements or, your bank statements. If the company is generating money through your business checking account, you must be transferring, or you should be transferring those funds into your personal account. And if you're making a payment to yourself personally as an employee of, say, $1,000 a month, we would be able to see you're taking $1,000 out of your bank account and depositing that $1,000 out of your business account and depositing $1,000 into your personal checking account. We must be able to determine that.
Okay.
Next question.
I think this is a question. From Linda, Vision Productions Incorporated, not sure what type of business this applies to.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Vision Productions Incorporated, not sure what type of business this applies to.
Well, it sounds like it's an incorporated business, which sounds like a corporation. You can verify that by looking at the entity that was formed for the business. So you either have the state of Philadelphia documentation that will tell you that, which is a statement of, I can't think of it right, a statement of corporation, I believe. And no, it's the Secretary of State. So that document would also help you to identify how you form the business itself.
Okay. And this one
I'm
is
sure you may have used a link. I'm sorry.
Okay. We have 2 questions. Patricia writes, I am registered as LLC with husband who has passed away. Am I now considered a sole proprietor?
Wow, that's a legal question there. I would assume yes, but I would suggest you ask an attorney. You can check with a small business development center in Philadelphia. I know there's one at Penn and there's one at Temple, and they all have legal advisors in the area that are free to you. So I would suggest you schedule an appointment with them. And if it's a document that you need to revise, they can help you to do that.
Okay. This question's from Nancy. Nancy, would you like me to unmute you? It's a kind of a long question. Go ahead, Nancy, if you're there. I unmuted you.
This is actually Nancy's husband. Nancy, you had to take another call.
Okay.
But I'm asking on her behalf. She's a sole proprietor. She's the only employee. She's aware that $100,000 is the maximum payroll that's eligible for the loan under the PPP, but hasn't been able to get an answer to the question of whether $100,000 using that formula divided by 12 times 2.5, which comes to $8,333, is the maximum you can apply for, or is it that amount plus payroll expenses like IRAs or other retirement funds, healthcare costs, etc. So,
Okay.
do you understand the?
Okay, I do. I'm happy to try and answer that for you. So when we talk about $100,000 being the maximum, let's just say, for instance, that she earned $125,000. She can only use $100,000 per year divided by 12. So her monthly salary is what is that?
It
what
comes to right. It comes to $8,333, and then
per month.
Multiply that times 2.5, and you get $20,833.
Okay, then that's the amount that she can apply for. Now, she can apply for a little bit more because she can look at rent, utilities, interest paid. The point is she must use 75% of it for payroll and 25% can be used for other expenses.
Right.
So that's why it says 2.5 times.
Right.
It's saying 2.5 times.
I'm sorry. The reason for the confusion is that she had applied in the first round and never heard anything except after the fact when she got a notice saying that the amount that she had applied for, which was the $20,833 plus that same fraction of her other expenses, was disallowed because the maximum was $100,000.
Okay, well, if that's their maximum, that's their maximum. Each lender has a different maximum. Our maximum at Lendistry.
Yes.
Our maximum at Lendistry is $250,000.
Okay, sure.
So even if your expenses exceeded $250,000, we are only allowed to make a loan up to $250,000. And I think what you're concerned with is it's the payroll for 2 months multiplied by 2.5 times.
Right.
That's the maximum amount of money that you can get. But
yes.
You can use those funds for other expenses as long as there were 75% has to be for payroll and 25% could cover the other expenses.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This next one is from Lois Carter. Will your application be denied if unemployment taxes were not taken out in 2019, but currently have unemployment taken out in 2020?
And I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there's someone on our team that can answer that question for you. If you'll send me an email, I will ask the question and someone will respond to you, probably before the end of the day.
Okay. This next one is from Lori. Lori, can I unmute you and you can ask your question?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize for the background noise. I've got 3 kids here tonight. I was wondering, we applied with our primary financial institution and we only heard back, we applied right after the program was launched. And we only heard back after all the funds were exhausted, and they said if that more funding was available, they would reach out to us and ask for further information, but we still haven't heard back. Would it make sense are we allowed to apply with Lendistry as well to increase our chances of getting through before funds exhaust again, or do you have any advice on that? Thank you.
Well, my advice consistently has been make sure that if you're going to leave the institution that you originally applied for, make sure that you've done that, because what's going to happen is all of the documents are uploaded into the same software of the SBA. Getting an approval from your bank and getting an approval from us at the same time isn't going to speed up your money. And then secondly, you don't want it to appear that you're trying to double dip, because both of them could be approved. So you need to withdraw one and then you can apply with us. But all the funds became available yesterday. So I'm pretty sure everybody is working hard. If your application was not declined at your financial institution, it should be in the first review for the additional funds that's available. That's what we've done. So we're going to fund the people that were in the pipeline that didn't get through. They weren't declined. We just ran out of money, or the SBA ran out of money. So those are the clients that are going to be funded first. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Constance. As a reminder to the attendee, if you have a question, don't forget to hit the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen. This next question is from Donna. I'm going to unmute you. Donna, you might have to unmute on your end too. Can't hear you. I see you're unmuted. Okay. Maybe we have to come back to Donna. Okay. Next one is Joseph.
Okay.
Joseph, go ahead and unmute on your end. There we go. If you're talking, Joseph, we can't hear you. Okay, I see Joseph said he can chat. Go ahead. If we are funded now on the second round, okay, Joseph, I'm going to wait for you to type out your full question and I'll come back to you. The next raised hand is Quamar.
Yes, hi, this is Kamar. So my question is, I'm a sole proprietor, and what I've done is I usually withdraw money to my bank account. So all I need to do is just provide the bank statement, and that will be proof of my proof of that I pay myself?
That and your tax returns.
Or,
So you still need your 2018 tax returns. You still need Schedule C for 2019.
so
And
I
the
don't-
bank statement just helps to support.
Okay, I've just submitted my Schedule C for 2019, but I got an email from my lender that you need, I need additional documents.
Did they tell you what those documents were?
They said either 2019 Form 940, 2019 Form
940?
941, 2019 Form 944, 2019 Form W3, 2019 payroll statement for payroll provider.
How many employees do you have?
I just have myself, and I had independent contractor. So two.
Okay, so you know that you cannot apply on behalf of the independent contractor. So the only employee that you can apply, only salary that you can use is the salary that you pay yourself. So if you have your 2018 tax returns and then your 2019 Schedule C, the 940 is the document that you file with the IRS, letting the IRS know you have an employee. And those are usually filed quarterly because you pay as an employer, you pay taxes quarterly. So they're asking you for a document that you should already be submitting, which is the 940 and the 941. I'm not familiar with the 944. But what they're doing is basically trying to prove and verify and validate that you are paying yourself as an employee. And I should say to you guys out there and here, everywhere, for sole proprietors, this is really hard. The simplest way you can make yourself or get yourself into a position to where you don't run into these problems is having a clear line of delineation as to what's happening in your business on a day-to-day basis. It could be as simple as you have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that says you made $50,000 and you take $2,000 from that money out of your business account and you put it into your personal account. You need to treat yourself as an employee. That's the hard part. Separating those accounts is one of the easiest things that you could possibly do to make your life even easier. You may be able to go back and do a spreadsheet and have it work directly with your bank account so that we can see every month you took $3,000 or every week you took $3,000 out of your bank account. And then when we look at your personal bank account, we can see that money went directly from the business to you personally.
Absolutely. Okay, that makes sense.
And,
sorry. So yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
I do withdraw money from the bank account and it goes to my personal account. But I do not have, you know, a set record that every month, you know, I withdraw this much. But I'm looking at my 2018 tax returns and it says that self-employment tax. And I see that I've paid out some amount to myself. So I don't know if I can just submit this. It says Schedule SE Form.
Well, I don't work for that institution. I'm sorry, I don't work for that institution that you're working with, so I can't validate what they need. I can only validate what we would look at.
Okay. Got it.
And if Constance, if I can add, for everyone who is listening, it is really important to know that the SBA provides parameters for the loan itself, but each individual lender can impose different documents that they require. And so what is constant is the amount of the loan, the term of the loan, the interest rate, requirements like collateral, those things are constant and are sent down by the SBA. But every individual lender has the authority to impose different document requirements. And we absolutely have seen that across the board.
Thank you, Marla.
Okay.
And I would only add, Marla, that if you're applying at an institution that you have a relationship with, there should be someone within that financial institution that you can talk to. At least I know that's what I have some clients doing. They're able to reach out to the banking representative that they have a relationship with and say, hey, can you look at my application and help me to get it done? You're putting money in that bank, they should be helping you. Okay.
Okay. We're going back to Joseph here. I have his full question now. He asked, if we are funded now on the second round, will the timeline for repayment be different?
Good question. I don't know. The idea was that the funding and the money should be used. Keep in mind, the funding is designed to support employees through June 30th. So even though we're in a second round of money, you need to bring back your employees and you need to pay them through June 30th. That date hasn't changed. So I guess I do know the answer. The answer is no.
Okay. The next raised hand is from Michael Garson.
Hello.
Hello, Michael.
Hi. So I've got a question, and I'm very nervous about this repayability that I would do it correctly, or the forgiveness factor. I have a single. I have a S corp. I am on payroll myself. I'm one employee. Someone else that I do work for would like to hire me because some of their people aren't coming back. Can I work for them and hire someone else to be my employee on my business? Would that qualify?
Well, you can't play two roles now. You're either going to be a sole proprietor where you're acting as an independent contractor. If you're an independent contractor, you cannot become an employee. You can become an independent contractor for those individuals that are trying to hire you, but you can't be a full-time employee.
Well, what one says, could I become an employee of them and then not be of my own? And I hire a new person for me to be my employee for my company, and I'm more behind the scenes. I'm not on payroll anymore.
That you could probably do as long as you're not collecting in two different places. If you're going to keep your sole proprietorship going and hire people in your company to continue working with the organizations that you were working with, and then you're going to become, let me get it clear, an employee of this other organization.
Right.
I'd like to ask you why you would want to do that, but it's none of my business, so I won't go there with that. But I find it really hard. I have a number of contractors or independent contractors that work for me, and mentioning becoming an employee is like throwing a dart at them. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit offline. I can make myself available to you for that.
Okay, great.
Okay. All right.
All right, great. This next raised hand is from Nadia.
Hello, Nadia.
Nadia, you have to unmute on your end. Okay, maybe we have to come back to her. Okay, let's come back to Nadia. Nadia, let me know when you are back at your, figuring your mute out. Oh, I just saw a raised hand and then it went back down. Okay, we're gonna try Donna. Donna, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Okay, let's try Star. Star, go ahead. Star, you'll have to unmute on your end.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. First, I just want to say thank you guys for doing the webinar. Second, my question is, what if you just started your business actually paying payroll this year? So you don't have tax returns for prior years.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the beginning of your question?
I said, what if you just started your business with paying payroll and employees this year? I've been the only person employed with my company up until this year, and then this year I have 2 part-time employees.
Okay, so this program is based on you being able to run your business and operate it with 2 months of payroll. So they had to have been employed by you prior to February 15th of this year.
They were.
Okay, so then you can apply.
Okay, but I don't have tax returns. So what would I provide?
Okay, so you do, then that would present a bit of a problem because you started your business this year, 2020?
No,
Yes?
I started it last year, but I did not pay anybody salary until January of this year.
And how many people are employed?
2. Well, 3 if you include
And that
myself.
includes yourself?
3
And that includes you. If I were you, I would still apply because you can still do a Schedule C. You are going to have to file your taxes though.
Okay.
I think what you should do is try and put as much documentation as you have. The only thing that I know for sure is that any employees you must have had on your payroll prior to February 15th of 2020.
Yeah.
The goal of the program is to infuse you with salaries to keep those people employed for at least 2 months of this year. So if you haven't paid them for 2 months, then that would be a different story.
They were on payroll since January.
Okay, then I think you should apply, and we can assign a business advisor to help you with the application process.
Okay, that would be great.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I got a chat here. A question from Donna, who couldn't get her through earlier in the audio. She wrote, in the beginning, I applied to everything. WFSF, my secondary bank, first because my primary bank. Citizens was not ready. Then Citizens became ready and I applied to them too. They both responded, exhausted. Then Citizens asked for more info and I sent it to them. What I'm hearing is that I should call and stop WFSF request. I also applied for unemployment because I'm a C Corp, not a proprietor, and I do pay into the unemployment. I don't get a check. I do draws in order to pay my personal bills. Should I not get unemployment, especially if PPP doesn't come through?
Should you not get unemployment? Well, there's a lot in that. You said you applied at Citizens and another bank. Has either one of the banks replied to you as to the status, other than the fact that they were exhausted? No more funds? Hello?
She'll have to respond in the chat box if she can hear you. Donna, that might be a question that, that might be a question that we'll have to put you through with email afterwards. So we will be providing Constance's contact info after this webinar for everybody. Let's go on to the next question. I'm going to unmute William. William, you'll have to unmute on your end.
Okay, I did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Donna, can you say something, Donna?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear Donna?
There's a lot of background noise. Can just one of you be on the microphone?
Okay, we were just trying to see if you can answer her question. They responded to her that they were out of funds.
Okay, well, they all got replenished funds yesterday.
So
I would like to say the same thing. If you've already applied and they have your documentation, everyone got more money yesterday. So everybody that is participating in this program has funding now.
So she should she just stick with one, get rid of WSF?
Well, I am not in favor of applying in multiple.
She did it before she knew any better.
Okay, I get that. So I don't know how those lenders are going to look at what she's done. That's not my organization. I'm not affiliated with them. I would say that for us, if you tell us that you've applied at a different location, we are not going to process your application.
Okay.
We're going to say to you, you should wait and apply and wait for a decision to be made at the institution you've already applied.
But should
As
she
a matter of fact,
contact
it's on our application.
Since Citizens is her actual bank and they actually contacted her, should she get rid of WizFiz and tell them to withdraw her application?
Well, Citizens may not have a problem with it. I think that she should contact Citizens and find out what the status of her application is.
Okay.
She could contact both of them and find out what the status of the application is. But Citizens being your financial institution, I would think they would be more favorable to funding you than someone that is not your primary financial institution.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, this next raised
Now
hand.
we haven't.
Go ahead, Constance.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I'm looking at the time, and I don't mind just answering questions if that's okay with the audience. Marla, Sam, do you want me to finish the presentation or just answer questions, which I'm happy to do either.
I think you should continue as much as you can through the presentation, and we will take questions as they arise. What I will ask, though, for everyone who is on the call, please have your questions written down, because we don't have a lot of time, and what we would like is for each person to ask one clear question, and we will, and Constance will try to answer that question. If it is a multiple layer question, then we will provide you with Constance's contact information, and you may be able to connect with her after this webinar. But in the interest of time, we really want to get through the presentation and answer your questions.
Okay, we have 2 raised hands. We could call them or get through some more of the presentation and then answer more questions.
Well, since we have 2 raised hands, let's try and do those quickly, and then we'll get back to the presentation.
Okay, this next question is from Teresa. Teresa, I've unmuted you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thanks for doing this. My question is really pretty simple. I'm the director of a very small nonprofit, only two part-time or full-time equivalent, and then a couple of 1099s. And our payroll is really small. It's like, you know, $3,500 a month, which, and with the 2.5, you know, it only comes out to like 8,000 or lower 8,000 or whatever, if I'm doing this correctly. And my question is, I was told that it had to be at least $10,000 in order to put in an application. Is that true?
It is true for our industry, Lendistry. The minimum loan amount is $10,000, maximum is $250,000.
Okay. All right. This answers my question. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, next one is from Joe. Go ahead, Joe, unmute on your end.
Go ahead, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Nope, we lost Joe.
Okay.
All
right.
We can try that again. Try that
Hello?
again. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Joe, we can hear you. Ask your question, please.
Thank you. All right. My question is, if you're using a financial institution and you already have like loans with them, is it good to use that same facility or go to a different one?
My suggestion would use the financial institution that you have a relationship with. The whole process is extremely easier with an organization you already have a relationship with.
Okay, yeah, so if you already have like, say, business credit and business personal loans, you can still apply, is what I'm asking?
Well, yes, I'm saying that that's the institution that you have a relationship with. It really shouldn't matter if you have outstanding debt as long as you're paying it. I mean, if they have a policy that you cannot be in default or have a late payments or things like that, but the idea is they already know who you are, which means they're going to require list documentation, which is going to mean this is an easier process for you.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah, I was just trying to get that cleared up. I know you kept saying use your institution. I'm like, okay, well, all right, that's good. That answered my question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next question is from David Sims.
Go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. So I think that one of our challenges as small businesses is that when we're getting all of these different applications and things like that, and I did apply to Lendistry after applying from Wells Fargo, I don't remember there being a question as if you applied somewhere else. So I think that we as small business owners, especially after the panic of all of the funds running out, I think that some of us may have applied to in multiple locations.
Okay, well, I'm only suggesting that you not do that because you're only going to get paid from one. If something slips through and you get paid from multiple institutions, that could then be looked at as fraud.
Okay, and I understand what you're saying in the aftermath of so many people having these challenges, but because I do business with PayPal and because I do business with Square and because I do business with Wells Fargo and because I didn't hear anything from anyone, we, and I'm sure that I'm not alone, applied to other lending institutions. I know I applied to Lendistry. And I'm willing to say,
anything?
Say that again?
You got no response from us?
From Lendistry?
Yes.
I don't recall receiving an email yet, other than most of the emails that I've received from different places was, you're in the queue. Wells Fargo sends an email about every day saying, you're in the queue, you're in the queue. We know that it's a stressful time and so on and so on and so on. I can't 100% say that I did or did not get anything from Lendistry. I will look, but I'm willing to put myself out there to say that I know that there are other small businesses that are doing the same thing, and we all being novices in this whole new process, in this whole new world. I'm sure that there is lots of business owners that applied in multiple places. Wells Fargo was the first place that I applied for in the month of, I believe, in the latter part of March. And I didn't get an email from them until maybe the second week of April.
Okay, well, my understanding with Wells Fargo is they're not even doing the PPP program anymore. It was written in the newspaper that they took 2,000 applications, they exhausted their funds, and they were shutting it down. So if you got an email after that, I would think that maybe they must have decided to reopen it and help people. But the last I heard is that Wells Fargo wasn't doing anymore.
Well, they've got it listed on their website, apply now. They've got it listed on the online banking, apply now.
Very good.
Okay. So I just wanted to put that information out there for the listeners.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Constance, we don't have any raised hands left.
Okay. Why don't we go to the next slide? And what I would say again to the audience is, in each case, we have put up a lot of information on our website at www.mylendistry.com. And so the gentleman that I was just speaking with, you should have received an application number. You can source that application number and find the status of your application with Lendistry. And if you want to send me an email, I can look into finding out what the status is for you. I'm happy to do that. But for those of you that haven't applied already, the SBA PPP loan resource guide is also a great resource for you that have not applied. And also maybe for those people that have applied who were turned down or the institution asked for additional information. You could use our site for that as well, because it does help you to understand the need of certain documents. And we are a resource to help you if you'd like to apply with us. Next slide. Okay, who can apply? This hasn't changed. It's pretty much stayed the same. Any small business owner, sole proprietor, corporation, independent contractors can all apply for this loan program if they have 500 or less employees. I think the challenge out there is the business owners being able to verify or validate who they're paying with the documentation that is required to do that. Will the loans be forgiven? The loans are designed to be forgiven. The whole purpose of it was to make sure that it was forgiven. The first few months of the program, the payments are deferred. So if your payments are deferred, and on June 30th, you're going to ask your lender to forgive your loan. If you've used the funds in the way we've discussed, you could get 100% of your loan forgiven. So I want everyone to think about that. This is designed so that we can help you as much as we can to keep your employees on payroll and rehire them quickly. Next slide. So again, how do you calculate your monthly average payroll? You look at 12 months of your total payroll. You determine what 2 months of that is. You multiply that by 2.5. That is the amount that you apply for. When you look at that, that's the reason why they're asking for IRS documents like the 940 and the 941, because that validates the amount of money you're asking for. If you have 3 employees and you're paying taxes for those employees, you're going to be completing a 940. That document is going to share with us the salary, wages, health benefits, vacations, sick leave, retirement, everything that you pay on behalf of that employee. Let's see. Next slide, please. How much will be forgiven? Again, all of it can be forgiven if it's used in the manner that it was designed to be used. However, most people are looking at it as if 75% of the money that you get through this program is used for payroll, there is an exception of 25% that could be used for rent, utilities, mortgage insurance, and so forth. Any other expenses that you have that are directly related to you operating your business. And there are 5 areas for those, and those are mentioned on our website. Someone mentioned part-time employees, and I don't believe there's anything in here that covers part-time employees. There needs to be average FTEs, which is full-time employment. When can you apply? Apply now if you haven't already. If you have already, my suggestion is reach out to that institution. More than likely you have an email address, or you have an SBA number, or you'll have a document that says we have your application. If you're working with a financial institution, I'm pretty sure you have a relationship with that financial institution, and we're all working. So you can send an email and you can ask those individuals to please look at the status of your application so that you know how to move forward. Advance, please. Submitting your application through Lendistry, I think, is really easy. Next slide. As I mentioned before, this is the website, but please, I ask you, I'm actually begging you, make sure that the applications are complete. Hurrying and getting it into the portal does not put you ahead of the game. The most completed applications are going to move through the fastest. So make sure that you completed the application to the best of your ability. And then I guess you're going to sit and wait for someone to get in touch with you and let you know if they're missing anything. But they're not going to stop and wait for you to get back to them. The idea is submit a completed application so that we can get you in the portal, get you in the SBA portal so that you can get funded. If there's a delay, it just delays you getting funded. And people are already mentioning that they expect this money to run out by the end of the week, which I think is crazy, but that's what I'm being told. Next slide. Again, this is just information to help you to understand what we're looking for, how to use our website to upload your documents, keeping in mind you guys are not alone. There's a lot of resources out there to help you with this. I would prefer that you ask if you have questions before you submit your application. because sometimes just checking off a box means you got a 2 or 3 day delay versus having just checked it yourself or asked someone else that is a resource partner to help you with your application, to confirm that you haven't missed anything, to confirm that your calculation is correct. That's the fastest way for you to get in the pipeline and get in line to get funded. Advance, please.
We have a raised hand from Majid.
Okay, go ahead.
Majid, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, there's a lot of background noise.
Let me share this information with you and kindly let me know what you think. I applied
Can you get, I'm getting a lot of background noise.
There is no noise here. I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm only talking on my computer and I'm the only one here. Can we try it again?
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
I applied for this loan almost 3 weeks ago, 3.5 weeks ago. I applied through the bank, which is Santander Bank in Philadelphia, about, like I said, 3 weeks ago. I've been with this bank for almost 20 years. I employ close to 35 people. And my company has been in business for over 60 years. Now, unfortunately, for whatever the reason, Santander seemed to be the slowest bank I've ever come across of. I never had to use this kind of a service from them before. But this is what it took, about 2.5 weeks for them to even get the application forms to me, and for us to fill it out, it only took 1 day, but the whole thing took us about 3.5 weeks. So everything, in my opinion, is on my banks. That's their fault that it's taking so long. On the other hand, you're telling me the only choice I have is to go through my bank. Unfortunately, I don't have enough confidence in my bank to know whether they are able to process the application through the right steps. Now, what are my choices? What other options do I have? When I talked to Santander, they said your application has been sent through. That's it. That's all I know. So what are my choices here? And again, unfortunately, I'm being told almost all the time, yeah, you only have to go through your bank. Since you've already picked this bank, you're kind of stuck with it. And if you apply through somebody else, it can be considered fraud. Where do I stand?
First of all, I would say I am really sorry that you're having such challenges getting any information, but I did not say that your only choice was your bank. I feel, and we strongly feel, that for most small businesses, their banks are the easiest to apply with, mostly because the documentation that is being requested is less than it is with someone like us. We don't know you. So we're going to ask for additional documents that your bank probably did not ask you for. If you would like to decline your application with Santander Bank and work with us, we're happy to do that. But you do have options. Under no circumstances was I saying you didn't have an option. My suggestion again is that if you have a long-standing relationship with a financial institution, the process should be smoother and faster and less laborious.
Thank you, Constance. Okay, this next raised hand is from Jamie.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So my question is just about the repayment terms. This is a question that we're hearing a lot from our SBDC clients. If there's been any changes from the original repayment terms in terms of the time frame of needing to rehire as soon as you get approved you have that 8-week window, and then the requirement of needing to get back to full staffing by June. Otherwise, the loan won't be forgivable. We've gotten just a lot of kind of like, this isn't practical. We won't be able to reopen because of we're not an essential business, etc. So, and I've heard some talk about those requirements being questioned. So I just wanted to see what your thoughts were about that.
I have not been told that. Well, the repayment period, the repayment on the loan is 2 years. The rehiring of your staff has not changed. Your staff needs to be on board in place by June 30th. And the reimbursement, remember, you're only applying for 2 months of salary. Now, if we get into, it was supposed to be April 1st, April, May, June, so that you had a full 2 months of salaries that you could pay with the funding that you're getting, plus some other expenses. I have not seen anything that has changed the date from 6/30 to a later date. But if your funding turns into a loan, you have a 2-year repayment period. I've also added that to my questions for my SBA contact. But as far as I know, it is still 6/30 of 2020.
It is still, Constance, it is still June 30th. I talked with the SBA several times today. It's still June 30th.
Right. So I have businesses who have been accepted. I have businesses who have been accepted for PPP, and they're saying, you know, we're not going to end up taking it because we're not going to be able to rehire by then. That's not the type of business we have, so they're not going to be able to use it at all.
Well, keep in mind, on behalf of the SBA and the United States government, we didn't make the policy. We're just trying to get the funding out there.
Yep.
So that's unfortunate. I honestly just feel like if the funding is available and you apply for it, you should take it. You never know what changes might take place. If this is going to help you to actually run your business for the next 2 months, I would take the money and hope for the best. Run your business, get people back on board. If you're not able to rehire your whole team in 2 months, then one would question what level are you running your business. If you're only running it at 50%, you may not need your whole staff. But the goal was to keep those people off unemployment. Okay, I don't see any more questions.
We have one hand left from Aston.
Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Yes, I was asking about the EIL. I know we are discussing about the PPP, but my question is about the EIL because I applied many times on the EIL portal because I was expecting them to send a reply email saying, yes, we received your application, which did not happen when I did the application. So I kept on applying and applying, but now I have been waiting for a response and I still did not get any response from the SBA. So my question.
So you got no, so I have not worked on the EIDL loan program, and it's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. I've not worked on it. My understanding is when you filled out your application, you gave yourself a username and a password. You should be able to go back in the portal and find the status of your application. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that is the case because I had 2 or 3 people that have called me and said they were able to look at the status of their application directly at the SBA.
Oh, really? Because I was not able to do that because anytime I go to do that application, it just gives me your application has been submitted, and they give me a number on the screen and says keep that number for recall.
Keep that number for what? Say that again.
For my record, like for my records.
For your records? Well,
yeah,
that means that they've accepted your application.
Yeah, but I'm not able to go on the portal and sign in and check it out.
So my understanding, and again, I've been talking to the SBA all day today, is that the portal is not open because the SBA is going through those applications and will open and is expected to reopen the portal at a later date. But you have your number, so what you have to be is a little patient as the SBA is making its way through those applications that were already submitted. So you have your number, you should be contacted by someone. This is taking a little longer than the SBA expected. So the only thing they can say is to just be a little patient.
Okay. All right. And also, from my understanding, the PPP is also 2.5% of the regular payroll that we should submit. Is it for the whole year or just for 2 months?
It's 2 months plus 2.5 times the 2 months of payroll.
Okay. That's what we should request.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, it is 6:11. We're scheduled to go until 6 o'clock. Do you want to continue answering questions?
Sure, let's go to 6:15, your
Okay.
time. So I would suggest that everyone be real clear on their questions so I can answer more of them.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Sounds good. This next one is from Lois Carter.
Go ahead, please.
On your end, Lois.
Maybe we should go to the next one and come back.
Yep. All right, Teresa, you are not.
Hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you, Lois.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. This is regarding the staff person. If I have a staff person, I received a loan, I was granted the loan, the staff person's been working for 2 months and decide to quit. Even if I rehire someone within 2 weeks, will I be required to pay that loan back?
No, remember it's not the employee per se, it's the number of employees. So if you only had one employee, you only got money for one employee. So as long as you have one employee at the time that you're asking for forgiveness, you should be fine.
Okay. Is there a certain amount of time that they have to be working or so that I don't forfeit the loan?
You won't forfeit the loan, but you can't really prevent them from quitting. And I think a reasonable time to hire someone, you said it was 2 weeks. That sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's no guidelines on that. So I'm just giving you what I think is reasonable.
Okay, this next one is from Teresa.
Go ahead.
Hello again. My question relates to the PPP actual application form. They mentioned the EIDL. You know, it's your payroll times the 2.5 plus that amount. That's the EDL. I have not put in an application for the EDL. If I were to do so, and I'm still trying to, since our payroll only comes up to like $9,000, I'm still trying to figure out how we can get some help here. If I apply, then that number would go into the number of the total amount for in the PPP application. Is that correct?
On the back of the application, it asks you if you've gotten funding through EIDL. At this point, I'm assuming you have not.
No, definitely not. Haven't applied.
Okay, so you're not telling an untruth. If you haven't received it, you haven't received it. So therefore, we would not look at that.
Okay, I was just thinking to try to put in an application to make the number.
What both applications are really acceptable. You can apply in both.
Okay. All right.
Keep in mind, the EIDL turns into a loan, and it's payable over 30 years.
Right. And I saw the interest was very low on it. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, it's 3:15. Do we have another hand up?
Yes, it's actually 6:15 here, but I can call on Joe.
Oh, I forget the time difference.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead,
yes,
please.
we can. Joe, ask your question, please. Quinn, go to Michael, please.
Hello? This is Joe. Hello?
Ask your question, please.
Don't worry about it. Thanks.
Okay, so it is 6:16, and let's take this last question, which is from Michael. Quinn, if you can unmute Michael, and Michael, if you can unmute yourself, this will be our last question.
Okay. So one question is, part of my business I can't do at the current time. So if I've applied for a loan and I'm accepted, can I have it delayed until like a month or two till I might be able to go out in the world and do the work that we would normally do?
Can you delay applying?
Can I delay receiving?
Not that I'm aware of. I have no guidance on that.
Okay.
So
keep in mind the money that's available. Go ahead, Marla.
No, so this question has come up often with the SBA. The clock for the 8-week period begins at the time that you are funded.
Okay.
So if you have received the money already, your 8-week period has started.
Okay. Now I received an acceptance and it said I had 48 hours to respond. So I'm trying to slow the clock down because it would be more beneficial. It's a really odd situation.
Well, don't wait too long.
Yes, I know. I've got till tomorrow morning to click the button.
Okay, so click the button.
Yeah.
So everyone, I would just want to say as we're closing, it is, there's clearly a lot of confusion in the marketplace, not just with the business owners, but with some of the lenders, because there is so much latitude that lenders have. PIDC is constantly trying to get information, accurate information to you, but we also encourage you to do research on both the Paycheck Protection Program as well as the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. There are distinctions between the two that you should learn about so you can make an educated decision about which is going to be best for your company. The challenge, though, is you are working against the clock. The EIDL program has not reopened its portal, so you don't have a choice at this point in terms of applying. But if you have already applied, you have your number from the transaction, you should wait for the SBA loan officer to give you a call. For the PPP program, the challenge now is how quickly the funds will be exhausted. So Constance, you said by the end of the week. I've heard the same thing. I've heard even sooner than that. And so if you have not submitted an application for Triple P, we have a lender here who is available now, Lendistry, who not only will accept your application, but will provide the technical support that you need in the event that you are confused about the documents and you need support. A ton of people need support. So while you have a potential lender here, I would suggest you take advantage of it because time is not on your side. And if this fund is exhausted this week, like we are hearing, then you don't want to be left out since this is the second time it's being funded. So with that, we will post this webinar on our website. Jasmine, if you could put in the chat box where people can find the webinar, we will, again, we are indebted to Lendistry for its partnership with Goldman Sachs in recognizing the small businesses in Philadelphia. We owe a debt of gratitude for Constance. Constance is in the thick of things. And so Lendistry is processing thousands of applications. So for Constance to be able to take her time and spend with Philadelphia and Philadelphia small businesses over these last 4 weeks has been absolutely incredible. And we don't take it for granted. I mean, this is, to be able to get a lender to come and answer your questions is really pretty unprecedented. So we thank you all for your participation. We encourage you to go to the PIDC website. If you have questions, feel free to send us your questions. Constance has also made herself available. For everyone who has participated in this webinar for this evening, we will send you Constance's contact information so you can send her an email with your question. Please bear in mind, Constance is in sunny Southern California, so there's a 3-hour time difference. So just be alerted to that. And with that, if we would just thank Constance for these 4 days, and we thank you all. Ozzy, I see you. Lori, thank you. To everyone who has participated, thank you, thank you. Keep us posted on sending those applications to those lenders. Keep us posted on when you are receiving those funds. And if there are any questions, anything the PIDC can do to get you more answers, we certainly will do that. Patricia, thank you so much. And we look forward to hearing from you all and seeing the end of this crisis. Take good care. Bye.